Oh, for sure. And one thing also that I've learned through my years is always show the opposition the same picture, and then you have options off that same picture. So as a halfback standing at the front of the line out, you don't know if it's going to 1, 2, 4, or back door. Same with the backs moves. Show the same picture, run the same lines, but have options. And then it's up to them to defend.
Hey Illy, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm going really well. Thanks for joining me today. It's awesome to have you on board. So, how's the body and mind feeling so far this year?
At this point in time, it's feeling relieved that I've retired from international and state duties of the Wallaroos and the Waratahs. So it's getting some much needed rest and rejuvenation.
How did you know it was time to, hang up the boots for both those teams?
For the Wallaroos, I feel like it was a long time coming. In my position, I was fortunate enough within my family that we've had a few national representatives come through the ranks. So I was able to call upon Loti Tungiri and just asked how he felt when he knew it was time to hang up the boots. And sharing some of my stories, he kind of was a comfort for me because we were both feeling the same things at the similar times in our careers. So yeah, I felt reassured that I wasn't, taking the easy way out. Like I was coming to the end of my time. So I just made sure that I played the World Cup last year as hard as I could to get the best out of it.
No, it's awesome. It's definitely a difficult decision to make, and you just sort of don't know when your time's going to come. And you've had a massive career, and it's been awesome to see you sort of progress over, and then you get that last opportunity to play in a World Cup, and then have a really good Super W season to finish it all off. So it's been a really good sort of way to end your career, and you're still playing for Sydney Uni, aren't you?
Yes, I'm still playing. I can't give it up cold turkey, that's for sure. So still still dangling the toes in a bit.
Okay, but the hits are a bit easier to recover from, you would say, just playing club rugby compared to, national and international rugby.
To a point, yes. I mean, you still got to give respect to the game and make sure your body's best prepared for it at the end of the week. But yeah, I've also changed positions in club. I'm now playing a fly half, so that's a little bit easier if I can say that.
Yeah, I did see that in the lineup. So how do you find that transitioning from 9 to 10? And you're like, come on, number 9, give me some good ball, Like do you feel their frustration?
Well, I think like our nines are pretty solid at Sydney Uni, which is fab. So I think that's why they've caused me to go out to 10, which I'm loving because there's hardly as much running in 10 as there is in halfback. So I'm loving it.
Just take a couple steps, pass, couple steps, kick.
Yep. Tell everyone to get around the corner, work harder, run faster. That's my job.
No, it's awesome. It's a good transition. So growing up as a young girl, what sports did you play, and how did you end up playing rugby?
Well, as a young girl, I was a ballerina. I did ballet, and I was a thick ballerina. I think my parents got me into ballet just to get me moving, um, because I was quite solid. So, and I think my ballet teacher kind of encouraged my mum to pick up a different sport for me, and so that's when I moved into gymnastics. A bit more boisterous than ballet, and with gymnastics through primary school, I then went into high school where um, I was able to pick up touch football, and then playing through, my early high school years into later high school years. I needed something more. I needed something more physical, and knowing that my father had played rugby, I grew up watching my cousins and uncles play rugby. I was like, I want to give this rugby sport a go. So contacted my local club, which was North's Eagles in Brisbane, and they had a women's team. But those many moons ago, women weren't able to play until you were 18. So I joined this team when I was 16. I was their water girl for 2 years, learning the tricks of the trade, training with the women Tuesday, Thursday nights, water girl Saturdays, game day. And then come my 18th birthday, when I was allowed to play, I went on that field, and you can't take me off it now. So I've been on there ever since.
Wow, it's a really cool story to, going from like starting off with, a sport that's sort of coordinating the body and no physical contact, to then going to play some touch, and you're like, oh yeah, now let's add some contact in there. But you did have to wait. But once you did wait, it was just like the floodgates open. You're out there just running around and living the dream that you wanted to be doing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And like back then, I started as a fullback. That was my prime position. But then I think my chat and communication on the field was needed at halfback. I think my size as well. So being a little bit on the shorter side, that was where I was needed.
When did you make that transition from 15 to 9? Was it sort of after a couple of seasons you started to identify that, or was it sort of a bit longer or shorter?
No, it was a couple of seasons. So it probably would have been after 2 seasons. And I caught the eye of, the Brisbane, because I started in Brisbane. I caught the eye of the Brisbane selectors and Queensland selectors, and so they kind of ushered me into that position, and for the betterment of my career, which was fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. But who knows what you would have achieved at fullback, you know?
Yes.
No, that's awesome. But I'm glad you made the transition over, and it definitely paid off really, really well, which is awesome. So, what a year it was for the Waratahs and the Super W. And unfortunately, you didn't get the chockies at the end, but it was still a really good season. How would you describe the 2023 Super W season?
Well, if you look at it, we didn't get the result, but just over 50% of that Waratahs 23 playing in that semi-final against Fijiana and Nadrua had never experienced a Super W semi-final or final before. And like we're coming up against an international side who were predominantly last year's champions of Super W. There were also a handful of international World Cup players from their team in 2022, and they were scattered with a couple of sevens girls. So that team had international big game experience. So I think that the 2023 Super W season for the Waratahs women was character building. I mean, we took a lot of lessons away from that season, from having a pre-season tour to New Zealand, playing the Waikato Chiefs and Auckland Blues prior to our final squad being selected, which gave exposure to our young squad playing an international team and giving them like a taste of touring. Some of them had never played overseas before, let alone like had a tour overseas before. So it was eye-opening and a good experience for them. And then like we came through the Super W season on top of the ladder, and having beaten Fijiana and Drua for the first time since our final last year. So that left us on a high. But look, coming to finals time, our big games, you have to put your best foot forward. So yeah, it was character building for a lot of us, and I know that next year the girls will come back bigger, better, and stronger.
Yeah, character building for sure. And it was just exciting to see some young talent just stand up and just take the game by the throat, really. You just really put your best foot forward, and then you're learning from this, and then to have an incredible season. And it just feels like the team's going to come back bigger, stronger, and faster next year. And that you got that hunger, like, damn it, we didn't do what we wanted to do for that season at the end, and we're going to come back and make sure we get that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's exciting times for Waratahs, but also really exciting for the Wallaroos. Like, there's a lot of talent coming through across the whole broad of Australia. And yeah, it's exciting times for the Wallaroos.
Yeah, well, it's for the Wallaroos, our two goals at the start of the Super W season was, first of all, was to win it, which we fell short of, and the second of all was to have the Waratah women represented highly in the Wallaroos squad. And for what I can take away from last year's World Cup preparation, the direction of women's rugby in Australia is only pushing forward at steam, because over my 17 years of high rep footy, I've played 26 test caps, represented Australia 26 times. This 1 year of last year, a debutant player played 10 tests in 1 year. So we can't take a backward step from this. The girls have to keep playing tests in order to get better, especially leading into our 2029 World Cup in Australia.
100%. And it's the best way to, attract players to the game, to keep them, because that's the unique thing with rugby, is being able to play different countries and play the sport in different parts of the world. I think that's what makes rugby so special at that top level, is being able to do that. And you can't get that in rugby league, really. Like, you can go over and play the Warriors, but it's just a trip to New Zealand. It's not like you can go to England and stuff consistently. You might go for a World Cup, but consistently go overseas and do all that stuff. We need to get that for the girls and continue it, like you said. And playing 10 test matches, that's just 10 more opportunities to create better rugby athletes. And when they come back to Super Rugby, they're going to smash it as well. And the competition just starts getting better again.
For sure, for sure. And like, we've even seen a few of our Wallaroos players, our key players, go overseas and play in the English Premiership this year. And like, you talk about game sharing and being exposed to high level games week in, week out. I don't know how that cannot give you a better rugby life and a better, like, more longevity in the game, playing at a high.
100%. It's a very exciting times, and we just need to continue to grow the game and invest in the game as well.
100%.
So, looking back at your time with the Waratahs, what comes to mind when you reflect back on your playing career?
Oh, a big one for me is family. Family. So from 2018, we led from the front, and we formed a winning culture. We where the standards were set by the players, and we held each other accountable week in, week out. And as a result of that, we won 2018, we won 2019, 2020. And through that, we supported each other on and off the field, and in life. If I can quote Grace Hamilton, I think she said on one of her panels, the success of our Waratahs team comes from the fact that we actually love each other. Like, whether we're on field, off field, in life, at work, we would be able to call someone up, message someone, hey, I'm having a really bad day, help me out. Or, hey, I'm having a really hard time getting through this running session, do you want to run with me? And without a doubt, you would find someone to run with you or to talk you through a situation you had at work or in life. So I think that's one thing I will take away from my time at the Waratahs.
It's really
and I
unique.
know it is unique. It's something that I know will carry on with the girls that are there now.
How do you continue building that culture with such a new team? You had this season, you had a lot of debutants. How do you manage to keep that culture going? Because it has been going for quite a while now.
Yeah, it's more about just sharing the knowledge and being there for each other and making yourself available. Like, I've been in teams before where when new players come in and old players are there, and the older players kind of just stick to themselves because they're so protective of their space and of their position. Or I feel if you're open, if you're welcoming and supportive of one another, that can only be best for the team and be best for the environment and the culture of the squad. And I feel that it has to be player led and player directed, because we hear so much from the coaches and management day in, day out, and sometimes their voices are just annoying sometimes. So you do need to rest on the laurels of the players that you train with every day.
100%. It needs to be player led and player driven. And, it's reflecting back to the team. Everything I'm doing is for the team. And I think we can get lost sometimes as, being athletes, is being a bit selfish and just focusing on you and not actually checking in with your teammates, or it's just going the extra mile to do something for the team that might go unrecognized, but all those little things that you do come back in good fortune and really adds to the culture and the value of the team as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it seems like the Waratahs are in good hands, and that sisterhood you've created is going to continue for quite a while.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'll be knocking on the doors to make sure it's okay.
I'm sure. I'm sure you know the passcode to the doors, or where the key's hidden to just come back in and make sure.
I definitely do.
No, that's awesome. Now the same question, but for playing for Australia.
Mm-hmm. Geez. Look, that was a tricky one because the transition, what I took away after the Wallaroos, it was hard. Like I think what I would take away most from my Wallaroos career is the longevity of my ability to play for so long, and the camaraderie and the family ties that I had with rugby, and how I was able to prolong my family name in the game of international rugby, because my father also played for Fiji. So for us, it was important, or for me especially, it was important that I carry my family's name for as long as I could in the game of rugby, whether it was for Australia or whether it was for Fiji. But I knew that Australia gave my family better opportunity. So it only felt right to represent Australia.
Oh, that's awesome. And again, it's such an awesome career that you had. And what was it like playing in the last Women's Rugby World Cup in NZ? It was an incredible thing to watch, but experiencing it like you did would be once in a lifetime, really.
Yeah, it was really special actually. It was the first ever Women's World Cup to be held in the Southern Hemisphere. And what better place than New Zealand rugby, where they are fiends for a game of rugby. Um, so being it so close neighbors, like it was enabled family members and partners and friends to come over and watch, even if it was just for the weekend, and then head back to their lives. But for me, it was more special because being the eldest in the squad this year or last year, my first World Cup experience was in 2006 and I was the youngest. So last year I was able to see the different the different grades of my career in all the players that were there present at that one World Cup. So your debutantes, your players that have been there for a while, and then a few of us who were already said that we were going to retire after that World Cup. So it was really special.
It seemed really special. And how did you make the most of that World Cup as well? Like, because speaking to, Grace Camp and a few others, they, had some special things in there. But how did you make the most of that World Cup yourself?
I think knowing that it was my last World Cup, just enjoying every moment. From the moment of waking up after Test Match Tuesday, body sore as hell, enjoying the ice bars, believe it or not, and just time with the team, time away, because I don't think there's going to be any other experience that you're going to have in life where you're going to be touring with 32 of your mates, your meals, your laundry gets done, your itinerary is already sorted, and it's creating those lifelong memories. So I just made it a point just to embrace every moment.
That's awesome, and you definitely embraced the moment where you picked the ball off at the scrum. I think it was you went left, did a 360, and then you look up, and then boom, straight through the line to score a try under the posts.
Under the post against Wales, yes, that was my definitely a highlight for me. It was my first try for the Wallaroos ever.
And it was a good try.
Thank you.
No, that's awesome, and I think the thing that comes to mind for me when watching the World Cup and from hearing the stories from the girls is you had time just to focus on rugby. And what would happen if you had that all the time? You could just focus on rugby and play the sport. Who knows how successful the Wallaroos could be? So just comes back to that point. We've got to continue to invest in the game, and the results are going to come.
100%. And if I can use our Aussie Sevens girls as an example, they are a full-time program, professional athletes. So if you do invest time, money, and resources into a program, you come away with gold medals.
Mm.
So, invest the same amount of time, effort, money, resources into the Wallaroos, and we have the potential to come away with a World Cup in 2029 on home soil.
And that would just be so sweet as well.
Oh, amazing.
So not everyone can play the halfback role and be successful. It's quite a challenging position. You've been very successful as the halfback, it's been awesome to see. So what is required to be successful in this position?
A lot of work. A lot of work. Like, it is a specialist position, and it required me to refine my craft every day, whether it was on field, in the gym, watching footage of myself or other halfbacks, either opponents or world-class international opponents, even male counterparts as well. Like, I look highly towards Aaron Smith, Antoine Dupont, and even our very own Jakey Gordon. Like, aspects of their game, if you can take almost like a recipe, a bit of this, a bit of that, sprinkle of him, sprinkle of her, and mold it into your own game, you'll come out on top and firing at every game.
If you just try to copy that one person's game, you're just going to be a copycat. You can be a really good copycat, but it doesn't come natural. And I like how you said you've just taken these little things out and then added it to your own recipe, and then continue to cook with that recipe as well.
For sure.
I think that's what you need. And what has been some sort of game-changing advice you've learned during your career that has helped you to become a better halfback?
During my career, two things I think I've learned. First one, and most important, I find, is look after your forwards. Look after your forwards, like, know your pack and their skill set. Are they a mobile pack? Are they a hard-hitting, powerful pack? Do they need a bit of help in conditioning? So it's knowing your pack, not only in playing, but in training. What do they need more encouragement in? Or how can they help you? So that's one thing. And one thing I think that helped the longevity of my career is cheat lines, especially for halfbacks. The three players I mentioned before, Aaron Smith, Antoine Dupont, Jakey Gordon, you always see them with that inside support line scoring that final try, because they've passed their 10 and they've made a beeline to that corner flag, because that's where they know the play is going to end up eventually. And it saves you, I would say, probably Ks in a game, Ks off your legs. So, yeah, look after your forwards and cheat lines.
And it just comes back to what we talked about before, being successful. If you do those two things, you're going to be more successful. And with, looking after your forwards, will that also be, specific parts of the game, okay, instead of me doing a longer pass, should I scoot out and then give my forwards an easier ball because I know that they were struggling from coming one ruck to the next ruck? Would that be something to help your forwards with?
Yeah, 100%. And also to knowing who's lining up to catch. So you do find who your ball runners are, who you're confident to pass a bullet to, and who sometimes you just need to ease off the heat and give them a softer pass.
Yeah, there are some forwards in there, unfortunately, who have hands like feet, and it's hard sometimes to catch the footy.
It is hard. It is hard, but look, it's a catch pass kind of game. It's a requirement.
Yeah, but some people still mess it up. So yeah, it's just funny. But yeah, it's great advice. Those cheat codes. I think for me, the first time I ever saw it was Aaron Smith, when I think they were just doing some commentary and highlighted it. See where he is here. He ends up here to then get to there, and then he's doing a try assist or then scoring the try, or he's the first one to celebrate because he's cheated. He's put in his cheat code to get to there, and I think it's just a massive game changer. And as a halfback, if you haven't been doing that, you need to start doing it.
100%. It is a must. It is a must. So for any young halfback out there, I urge you to watch these players play and watch their lines after they pass. It's hard to see on TV because I don't follow that line. You need to watch these players live and see which way they run.
100%, and it just again promotes live rugby. I love watching live rugby. I don't think you can get anything like it. It's just, the atmosphere and just being able to see those hits and those skills in real life. It's just something different to watching on the TV. I feel like on the TV, like, oh yeah, that's all right. It's not that hard. I could probably do that. And then you get there to the game and watch it, like, oh shit, that's actually pretty hard and fast. I'm glad I'm not the one playing.
Yeah, you definitely see every player's work off the ball, and that work off the ball is what coaches and selectors are looking at.
Mm,
Often the best.
100%. And I also feel like, from a person who's more a rugby union background, watching rugby league, it's like I feel like rugby league could be such a better product if they, utilize some of the skills from union. Because I'm watching league with Ben, and we're like, damn, if you played the short side right now, or you had an option running straight up, because the first 2 to 3 tackles is just running straight, no options out the back. If they just give a little tip pass and a couple passes, they're gone. So watching live rugby, you can see those areas that you can attack and then try to start utilizing them in your game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I find the same frustrations watching league live as well because the short side's always on, or yes, that tip pass is on. But as I've come to learn, that rugby league is a stats game. If you complete your sets, you win the game. Doesn't matter how you do it, you just need to complete your sets.
Mm.
So yeah, I do prefer rugby. It's a thinking man's game, thinking person's game.
Yeah, 100%. I love all the tactics and different ways to score tries. And when you see a beautiful set piece play off a scrum or a line out, it's just a thing of wonder. You're like, everything just went perfect for that moment. And then you just see the winger just go through and score a try. That's just a great feeling.
Even better when a front row does it.
And then they keep telling you that they did it as well.
Yeah.
Mm. So during the week of training, what are some halfback specific drills that you do?
Well, leading up to last year's World Cup, I I looked upon my Mr. Miyagi of halfback skills, Chris Deleuze. He was our Sydney Uni women's coach for a couple of years there, but he's now the Manly Marlins first grade coach for the men's. I would see him 1 to 2 times a week. We would work on my passing technique. So that would be speed, accuracy, power, distance. I would practice various approaches and exits of passes. I would pass under fatigue. And I would practice my kicking, whether it be box kicking, punts, or grubbers, to and out of a ruck or out of a scrum, and different game scenarios.
Mm.
So it was quite full on, and it would all depend on if I was playing that weekend or if I'd had a heavy leg session, or it would just really. He was great at crafting the session as to what I needed, and gave me feedback after watching my games as well.
That's really cool. And I really like the point of under fatigue. It's really easy to pass a ball when you're fresh, but
Oh
can you pass a ball when you've run a couple of Ks under the legs through different drills and then come back to it and then do it? Or you've just done some bad situation and then you bang straight back into passing. Are you able to process what needs to happen in order to get that ball out?
yeah, for sure, for sure. And looking at my GPS stats after some games and training sessions, I would run up to 6 to 7 Ks a session or a game. Tie that in with squatting down and passing every 20 to 50 meters. Like, that's intense.
100%. Those hip flexors and lower back would be getting a bit sore towards the end of the day.
Lucky I am blessed with a short stature.
That's good. And I also like the point that you made is knowing what you need to work on, because you don't just want to spend time on the things that you have strengths on all the time. Like, obviously definitely tick that box and continue to work on them because you definitely need it, but it's also figuring out, okay, this is an area that I've identified and I can show some improvement on. So I need to spend a little bit of time here and when work that skill or work this skill, and then slowly develop that over the week and then over the coming months.
Yeah, but also too, but don't forget about those micro skills. So if I was just to practice like your standard pass, I would only give myself 5 reps because I should know what a good, solid, accurate pass feels like. So if I can't hit it in 5 reps, then that's a skill I need to tag on at the end of my session. But if I hit my 5 reps, sweet, let's move on to it and I'll work on.
I think that's
So,
a good way to do it. Yeah.
yeah, because I know, and I got that little tip from Jake Gordon. He would always start a session 5 standing passes left and right, 5 line-out passes left and right. He would nail them every time. If he didn't, then I think he would go back at the end of the session and redo again.
I think that's where you can look towards, basketball as well. You look at like a Steph Curry, who will take certain amount of shots at different angles just to sort of get the body moving and flowing, and then create that chaos into it, and then take some pretty ridiculous shots. But it's the same as a halfback, really. You need to put yourself into positions that you need to be able to deliver clean ball to the first receiver.
Yeah, for sure. It's muscle memory at the end of the day. Muscle memory.
100%. So how do you build and create a solid connection of each key position on the field, like that 9-10 combo, but also the 9-8 combo on the scrum, and then also the line out as well?
Yeah, like through training sessions and through games, you come to know you're very close with your 10. You have to be closer with your 8, especially at the back of a scrum, and then your line out leader, which is your second rower. And I think as a 9, you have to learn to be versatile. So understand that you're the glue that binds the forwards to the backs in a game, and knowing that your backs will want a different pass to your forwards. So you have, like as I said before, with those different passes that I would practice, these are the passes that come into play. How you pass to your 10, if we're on front football, if we're working out of our dead ball zone. Like, you need to be versatile and activate what skill you need at any given time.
Mm.
And then so with my 8, I wouldn't have the comms with her, especially in the back of a scrum. If it's going backwards, you pick it. No matter what, I'm not digging my hands in there. The scrum is coming back on me. No way, you're taking that out and saving me. And with your line out lead, it all depends on the skill set of your forward. So your hooker, where can they throw in the line out? Do we need a launch play for the backs? Or do we want to down and drive? And you guys keep it in and score that more try.
I really think some underrated skills or just awareness is at training going to the scrums when the forwards are doing some scrums. So go over there and watch what's going on, watch the setup, know when to feed the ball, and then having that quick conversation with your 8 and be like, cool, let's do quick couple of practice reps of what we want. And just like you said, if the scrum's going backwards, that's you, that's not me. So just doing all those things at training and coming over to the scrums just to learn a bit more about it can add immense amounts to your game, and then to the line out as well. Go get some deliveries off the top of the line out and see where you need to position yourself, and then deliver that pass out to the backs.
Yeah, for sure. It's really important. Like I said before, is like you need to look after your forwards, and that's just paying them some respect, especially your other specialist forwards like your hooker. The feed of the scrum is so important. The timing is impeccable, especially it depends if they want to go down the closest channel or the middle channel. Do we want to launch off it to come out your 7-8, or do you want to keep it in and push for that penalty and keep it at 8's feet? So you need to ask how your hooker wants it in. And then for your line outs, definitely important for the second rower to practice the delivery to the halfback, because I've seen some deliveries that are like fireworks. They can go off anywhere, and it's up to go chase them. So I think also too giving them that confidence of standing at the front of the line out, so you're always in the peripheral of your line out jumper. and just a gentle voice. See me, here I am, here I am. And then, yeah, that just gives them the confidence that you're always there.
100%. And something that's just popped up in my head as well with the lineouts and being a halfback. I've seen this, when playing, but also now as just being an S&C coach, you just sort of the fly on the wall during training, and you just get to notice things. And with that halfback, don't give it away where the ball's going as well. I've seen it sometimes with some junior halfbacks. They just run to where the ball's going to be. And if you're a smart opposition player, you're just like, oh, yeah, I can see little Susie just right in the middle. It's probably going to go to the middle, like be consistent where you set up and the line out, and don't give it away, because it would just piss the forwards off.
Oh, for sure. And one thing also that I've learned through my years is always show the opposition the same picture, and then you have options off that same picture. So as a halfback standing at the front of the line out, you don't know if it's going to 1, 2, 4, or back door. Same with the backs moves. Show the same picture, run the same lines, but have options. And then it's up to them to defend.
Hi everyone, we just want to take a quick break from this episode. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far and all the content we have produced. We appreciate all the support from our listeners and followers so far. If you haven't already, sign up to Elite Rugby SandC blog today. You'll find our website link in our bio below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share Elite Rugby SandC on all social media platforms to all your family and friends. Thanks again for all your support, and now back to the episode.
So outside of rugby, what do you get up to in your free time? What do you like to do? Is there any sort of, I don't know, secret hobbies or habits that you get up to?
Yeah, like during the warmer weather, I love to hit up the beach, picnics with friends, just being outside really. But during these warmer months, I love to cook, sip some wine as I'm cooking, do some brunches by the beach. So yeah, and just spend some downtime, having some downtime, chilling with friends, movies, music, you name it.
Awesome. What are some TV shows that you're currently watching at the moment?
Currently, right now, All American on
All
Netflix.
American.
Yeah, I think it's Stan on Netflix. I can't remember.
Easy done. It's always interesting to know what people get up to in their spare times, but just having those outlets of going to the beach, spending time with family and friends, and just forgetting about rugby is just so important, so that you can come back to rugby and give it everything that you can.
For sure. Learning how to switch off and be okay with switching off is very important.
100%. So how has strength conditioning training helped you to become a better rugby athlete and also sustain such a long career as well?
Yeah, my first taste of strength and conditioning was through my gymnastics years, like developing awareness of your body through strength, flexibility, and conditioning, and knowing how your body moves, using only your body weight to improve your strength and power. I found gymnastics really important for that. And I've always said that enrolling your child in any type of kinder gym or gym sports is the perfect prep for any young athlete or child for life and for future sporting endeavors, because it just gives you this overall awareness of what your body is capable of and how it can move. And you fast forward that into my rugby career, I understand the mechanics of my body, and know how to get the best out of it and how to be safe. So how to fall properly, how to brace my core into contact, how to land, joint stability, balance, and posture. So that was my very first taste of strength and conditioning.
It seems like your parents were setting you up for success.
Yeah, they were. So yeah, I highly recommend some form of gym sports in your early years.
Yeah, and it's just learning from different sports. I've seen it all the time. And you can sort of tell if someone's just played rugby their whole life and haven't really ventured out to learn how to do different skills and then bring it back to rugby. So it's something that we talk about a lot on the podcast with different athletes and coaches. It's really important that you do learn how to do all these different skills and then learn how to apply it to rugby. Being able to fall properly and control your body into contact, it's two critical skills that we need to be able to have a long career in rugby. So it's never too late to go out there and learn these skills. Go do something in the off season that's different. It doesn't always have to be rugby focused the whole time. Like, you can do all these little things and still keep up your training of rugby. But if you adventure out and try these new skills, who knows what features you're going to unlock for your game next year.
For sure. And for off season and even pre-season, it's just as simple as doing yoga once a week, doing Pilates once a week, trying like a run club, like any type of movement's going to help. And it's probably going to be even more exciting than what your physio gives you of prehab and rehab every session. So go stuff that works for you and that's more enjoyable.
So how has your strength and conditioning evolved since, let's say day one, playing 18s rugby to where it is now? How has it evolved over what your routine is in the gym?
Well, towards the latter end of my career, I found it really important to develop this relationship with my strength and conditioner trainers. Because after 7 years of training in elite programs and various S&Cs, coaches and methods, no one knows how my body works and moves or reacts to various training stimuli than I do. So if I could communicate with them openly and honestly about where I was at, with regular check-ins, just to monitor my load on and off the field, whether it's through field, weights, skills, speed, con, they were able to manipulate my training week so that I could be at my best for game day at the end of the week. So adding or subtracting some sessions here and there.
It makes our life so much easier as coaches if you know your body and how you respond. Like it's so easy just to take things out and put things in, creating a plan for, different positions, and the playing team itself is quite chaotic because we want to make sure that we're ticking all the right boxes. We're not doing too much of one exercise and not enough of the other exercise. But if we can paint this picture for you and then you come to us saying, sweet, this is really good, but I need to change this or take away that because I respond well to this, but I don't respond really well to that. It just makes our life so much easier. So if you can get to know your body through, years of training, and it doesn't have to be too long of training, but just get those reps in and understand the different training methods and different exercises and how you respond, you're just going to learn more about yourself. And then once you've done that, you know how to best prepare yourself for game day. And that's all we're trying to do, is best prepare you for game day so you can go out there and perform.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess the struggle now with younger players coming through is that I guess we don't know how hard or how far to push them. Like how far, yes, their body will go, but how far their mind is willing to go. Are they willing to go to that darkness and push their body to the limits yet? So I guess that's that kind of balance that we have to kind of navigate in
100%.
these young.
And I feel like for the female population as well, you can lift a lot more than you think. With the amount of women I've trained and currently do, it's really exciting to see when they lift more than they can actually think. Like, oh no, I'm good with just say 70 kilos on a trap bar deadlifts. Okay, that's good, but you're much stronger than that. And they unlocked that strength and like, wow, this is incredible. So just make sure that you're doing it safely and progressing in the weights, but you certainly are stronger than you think.
100%. I'm always whacking on extra weights to the girls bars in the gym, and they give me this look. I'm like, if you can jump squat, you should be able to squat your body weight. Really? And they give it a go and like, oh my gosh, like they're actually surprised with themselves. I'm like, just chuck it on within reason, as long as you're increasing your weight incrementally every set.
Yeah.
You will get
100%. If you got that good lifting technique, it's fine to test your strength and know your limits, because then we can just prescribe the weight more accurately and then get the best results. And then in a few weeks' time, you'll be smashing that weight that you couldn't lift.
for sure.
So are there any sort of specific drills in the gym that you use to help your abilities out there on the field as a halfback?
Yeah, there were three. I would really rely on a Bulgarian squat. So that's just that power off that driving leg, especially when you're passing. And then you've got your pull-off press with a rotation. That can either be done with a straight arm, single arm, double arm, even single arm, double arm from the hip straight out to your lateral other side, with a cable row or a band. And then the other one I like to do is a drill I got from Aaron Smith, a drill he did on rugby bricks, where it's a thing, he's kneeling and it's a med ball throw into a wall. So doing that.
I think the Bulgarian split squats is a very underrated exercise. It's definitely a character builder as well, because let's say you can, squat 150, 160, and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty strong. And then you go to a Bulgarian, you're struggling with 40 kilos. You're like, damn, this is a real checking my ego type exercise.
Oh, 100%. And it's definitely an exercise that you have to do at the start of the week. No point doing it at the week when you've got speed, because you will not be able to move.
Yeah, your ass and hamstrings are going to be quite sore.
100%.
But no, there's some great exercise, and it's good that you're showing the single leg strength importance for playing rugby, and then you've got those core exercises as well with your pull-off presses and adding some different variations of like your rotation and different ways to hold the band, and then kneeling and doing some med ball throws. It's a great way to isolate the trunk and torso and sort of separate that from the lower body so that you can have the strength and stability up top, and then when you add the legs in, you're just creating a stronger foundation to be able to lay that pass out.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I learned that if you can separate your upper from lower and identify that a halfback pass is predominantly from your arms, you do get your power from your trunk. If you can rip that pass across, it doesn't matter where your legs are positioned, how you're balanced. If your upper body is stable and that you're producing the same picture through each pass, then it's going to get to your target.
100%. So do you have any advice for rugby athletes out there regarding their strength and conditioning training?
Yeah, it would be common theme through this podcast was to know your body and understand the purpose for each strength and conditioning movement. So knowing how each movement will assist your game on the pitch, and you will understand, you'll gain a greater appreciation and engagement of the S&C program once you learn those little skills.
100%. And I've said it really well, because it just ties into the point that we're trying to be the best rugby athlete. We're not just trying to be the best gym athlete and get really buff and strong and make our muscles look really nice. That's just a byproduct of the program and training really hard. You got to make sure that you're best preparing yourself to play rugby and be the best rugby athlete, not the best gym athlete.
For sure, and not the best Insta athlete. And there's there is that argument or that kind of cliche that I don't want to lift too much because I don't want to get big. But you're playing rugby, you need this for protection. You need this to be safe. So understand that the movements that your S&C is prescribing you is for your benefit. And know that they have your best interests at heart. It's not for how many likes you're going to get or how you're going to look in your two-piece or your gym gear. It's to play rugby.
100%. So when it comes to, having a laugh with teammates and, having good chat, who has the best banter and chat in the team at the Waratahs, you reckon?
At the Waratahs, well, I have to say, Maya Stewart's mouth is just as fast as her feet. So she's got a witty mouth on her that will cut you to shreds, but funny to listen to as long as you're not on the receiving end.
I think that's the second or third time she's gotten a mention for a good chat.
Oh, truly? That's funny. And then I will miss at scrum time listening to Emily Robinson line up against the opponents and just throw some shade across the scrum line. I do have a giggle to myself sometimes.
That's pretty funny. There's nothing wrong with talking a bit of smack out in the field and trying to get into your opposition's head.
Oh, for sure. And I think also halfbacks are the worst for that as well.
Would you say that you were quite a chatter as a halfback out there, throwing some shade to the opposition?
At times, yes. But then I'm also one to kind of vocalize actions that I see, whether it's a knock on or an offside. So it just loud enough so the ref could hear it and just get in his head.
Mm. That's awesome. So, what makes a good teammate on and off the field in rugby?
I think the same qualities you look for in a friend in life. So you're looking for trust, you want support, you need good comms, commitment to the game, commitment to training, and someone who you can celebrate the wins with, whether it's the little wins of a scrum win or a try, or grinding. You want someone who's going to grind out the challenges with you. So someone who's going to be there through the darkness and the light as well.
Mm. You can't just be there all the time for the good moments, because if you believe in sort of that balance, there's going to be bad moments as well. And I feel like that's where you find people's true sort of colors and how you can really value that friendship. And it seems like, what we've been talking about with the Waratahs, that no matter what situation you're in, you're going to have a teammate there to support you.
Yeah, for sure. For life. For
Mm.
life.
So being a good person on and off the field, and yeah, it's a really good point to, you're looking for the same qualities as a friend, because your teammates, you're also friends as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great point. So moving on to my favorite part of the podcast is, we're going to talk about the Triple H. So we're not talking about wrestling. We're talking about hardship, hero, and a highlight. So can you think of a hardship in your rugby career that stands out? And how did you get through this hardship? And what did you learn along the way?
Yeah, it was after the 2013 Sevens World Cup in Russia. I fell out of love with rugby. I hated it. Wasn't enjoying it at all. Didn't like going to training. I was moody to friends at training, and it just wasn't bringing me joy anymore. So what I needed to do was take some time away. I stepped away from the sport. I spoke to a sports psychologist on the regular, just to try and work out how and why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And then eventually I went back to club footy just for the social aspect and the connection and camaraderie of it. And then my love for the game and competitive edge reignited from there. So what I learned is that all feelings are valid and some time away is okay. And as long as you have that support network with you there, that are those regular check-ins, and having those honest conversations is always helpful.
Sometimes you need to take a step back from what sort of has brought you a lot of joy in the past and a lot of success, and sort of reevaluate what's going on in your life and make sure that you got the priorities set, and just take a bit of time to just understand, what's going on, and then slowly come back to it. And it's really good that you did, because, if you kept playing, you maybe have had, the success, or you might have been a bit of a burden to the team type thing. Like it was really sort of brave to take the step back and really focus on you. Like it is a team sport, but if you're not right yourself, then you can't be the best teammate for the team.
100%. Yeah. And you've got to have those honest conversations with coaches as well, and making sure you have that relationship with them, that they understand where you're at.
And, most of the time, if they're a good person as a coach, that they really do understand, and they're going to put you first, and they're going to be there to help you along the way.
Yeah.
So moving on to hero. Who is your hero, and why is this person your hero? Or if you have multiple heroes?
Whoa, heroes. I do have multiple people I look up to, but the one person I look up to in my rugby career is my father, or in the Fijian language, the Fijian word for father is lavor, because he represented Fiji in rugby for sevens and 15s. And one thing I learned from him is that hard work beats talent any day. Any day. And it's putting your head down and just getting the work done, no matter who's watching. Sometimes it's the work that you do in silence that gets you that extra edge. And from him, I learned that to be humble in your approach, and let your actions speak the work that you've done and put in. And he would call me before every game. Have you done your sprints this week? Yes, Dad. Okay. Keep your eye on the ball and follow the ball all the time. Yes, Dad. So I guess keeping your eye on the ball can translate through rugby and life. If you've got a goal, stick to it, work at it, and eventually you'll come out on top.
No, it's some great advice, and I couldn't agree more. Hard work pays off, and if you're the most talented person in the world and you don't, work hard, it might come. You do see that sometimes, but majority of the time it's not going to happen. You really do need to work hard and make the most of it and do all the extras, put yourself in different situations at training and work under fatigue. Everything we've talked about today, doing your strength and conditioning program, all that hard work is going to pay off. And, nothing bad's going to happen if you try. Give it 100% and see what happens. If you don't get to where you wanted to go, who cares? At least you tried 100% at something and you got to a different place, and you can use that in any part of your life, as you said.
Yeah. And another thing too is like, you don't want to look back on something or your career and think shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like that's only just going to leave it a thorn in your side that's going to get bigger and more painful. Give everything a go. Give every session 110% because you don't want to leave anything in the tank or left wondering.
We can go down to the local pub and build a pretty handy first 15 of players who would say, oh yeah, if only I tried a little bit harder, or if I had this opportunity, I would have been there. So there's a lot of people out there who do it. So make sure that's not you.
Yeah, for sure.
So the last one, it's a hard one because you've been playing rugby for quite a while, but what is a highlight that stands out in your rugby career that sort of comes to mind, or multiple highlights?
Multiple highlights. I think I mentioned it before, but just being able to play at a high level and represent my country for so long. Like it's been 17 years that I've been able to, push my body to the limits for the honour of representing Australia and pulling on that green and gold jersey.
No, it's definitely a great highlight, and yeah, it's been really cool to watch you play.
Thank you. And of course, I can't go past my teammates who I now look to, some of them as family, and I can call upon for the rest of my life. So that's definitely a highlight.
And again, it's just the joys of playing a team sport, and I think again, it's really something that resonates with rugby. Is you do make friends for life, and they're such good friends that you want in your life as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you could only give 1 or 2 points of advice for rugby athletes out there, what would you say?
Be versatile. Through the greater opportunity comes from versatility. And that's, I think, through any position on the rugby field. Like, as I said before, I started at 15, but I was open to being a 9. You got centres, wingers, fullbacks. They can all, share positions. And your forwards, that goes for them as well. And then the other one is no one is bigger than the game. Always be a student of the game. There's learning around every corner. After every session, after every game, you need to reflect and improve.
I think you've just given a lot of hope to a lot of front rowers who want to be versatile and become wingers or fly halves.
Or learn how to kick. Please don't kick, ever.
That's awesome. But yes, definitely be a student of the game, because as soon as you think you've mastered the game, something pops up and you are back to square one.
Or in a sense that you're coming to the end of your career and you've got a young budding halfback nipping at your feet. So if you're not up for that challenge, then that's a sign that maybe it's time to retire. But I was lucky enough to forge this friendship and companionship and relationship with Lane at the Waratahs, and then our new up-and-comer Tatum Bird. So creating a little halfback club to ensure that we were able to challenge each other, motivate each other week in, week out, will only leave our position in a better state.
And speaking with Lainey on the podcast, it really seems like you did forge that competitive nature where we're working together for the team, and whoever gets the starting position and whoever's on the bench, that's fine. At least we've done the hard work and built each other up for the betterment of the team.
Yeah, for sure. And I think she will carry that legacy on through Tatum and whoever's next to come.
And it's a great legacy that you have left as well. So they're definitely in great hands, and yeah, it's very, very exciting times.
Thank you. Thanks.
So who should be my next guest on the podcast? Is there any old or current teammates that should jump on for a chat?
Oh, well, you've got my cousin who's freshly retired from the Waratahs, Namani Nandolo. So he's got a lot of spare time on his hands these days.
Okay.
And then you've probably got Emily Chancellor's just fresh back from the UK.
Yep, she has been on the podcast before, so we might have to get her on the podcast and see that experience as well, because her and Arabella McKenzie have been over there as well and killing it over there as well. So might have to get her on for part 2.
Yeah, so they I think they land next weekend.
I'm sure they're very excited to get back.
Yeah, straight Wallaroos camp.
No, it's awesome. So where can listeners find you on social media if they want to keep up to date with what's going on in your life, Illy?
I'm on Instagram, and my handle is Iliseva B, Iliseva B.
Awesome. Easy done. I'll put that in the show notes. So thanks for joining me today. It's been awesome to, get to know you better as a person, and thanks for sharing all the advice today. I know a lot of people are going to get out of it, and congratulations on the wonderful career that you've had for so long. It's been awesome to see you, progress over the years, and then give back to the current playing group as well. And all the best for the future, and all the best for the rest of the rugby season this year as well.
Thank you so much, Kieran. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Elite Rugby SandC podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and rate Elite Rugby SandC on Spotify and YouTube, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. Sign up to become a beast via the link in the description or via Instagram page. Also, don't wait, make that good decision and join Elite Rugby SandC today and take your game to the next level.